believe we have a UFC event pretty soon.
Yeah, so, obviously a lot on this weekend, PFL, Bellator as well. I wanted to talk to you first about the UFC event because obviously a lot of Brits on the card as well. But obviously, starting with the main card. Obviously, 2 title fights on, 2 rematches. Which are you most excited for, Mason?
Me personally, I'm most excited for the flyweight clash, Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. First fight, absolutely quality, mate. It's kind of criminal that nobody really gives attention to like the fly. So, well, I hope so. Anyway, I hope they just don't throw feints for 25 minutes because then I'm going to look like an idiot. But most times, that'll be a pretty good fight. So I'm excited for that.
I mean, judging by the first one, I don't look like that's going to happen. How similar do you see it going to the first one?
What's that? Sorry.
How similar do you see that one going to the first one?
Well, I mean, surely it can't be a draw again.
Yeah.
I think my money's on Figueiredo. He's looking like he could be a brilliant champion, man. Like obviously we've had the DJs, we've had Triple C's, but this guy looks like the next little thing. So could be good, man. Could be very good. So my money's on Figueiredo, but I think it will go the distance because, excuse my French, but they're both tough cunts, I'm telling you.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Richard?
I don't know. I looked at the previous fight, and I wasn't sure whether both just showing up on the day or maybe Figueiredo just didn't show his actual class on the day. Because before that, he was just clearing people out. There's loads of like round 1, round 2 finishes, submissions, people tapping out to like ground and pounds and all sorts. So I was a little bit shocked that it did go the distance and it was a draw. As good a fight as it was. Now, none of them are going to want to leave it to the judges this time. They've obviously both 2 fighters with great pedigrees, great records. They want to push on and create legacies, right? And I think Figueiredo out both of them is probably the one to do that. I just see him maybe. I'll put my neck on the line here. Maybe going for a first round finish or first round submission.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That sounds. I've looked through the records again today, a few previous fights, and I thought he's going to come out to win this first statement back on there. Because before that, he was undefeated before that draw. Or still undefeated, but...
Yeah, I'm sort of leaning towards Figueiredo myself a little bit as well. Like, I feel like he maybe like underestimated Moreno a little bit coming into that one. Because I know like I did myself, and I feel like a lot of other fans did. We just saw it as like another person for Figueiredo to run through, because it felt like he was obviously very active that year, weren't he? And it felt like he was just sort of like running through everyone. It was just another contender for
I feel
Figueiredo
like
to run through.
For us guys given like figure, because obviously all 3 of us are voting in favour of Figueiredo. So for anybody watching, I just want to clarify that this certainly in no way, shape, or form is any disrespect to Brandon Moreno, because the 3 of us can all agree.
Oh
Moreno's
no, not at all. Yeah,
Moreno's a hell of a competitor, man. So I think it's just more the fact that Figueiredo has been on the scene, he's been a very active champion. That's one thing you don't really see much of nowadays.
Right,
connection pretty quickly.
But I think he's going to come out and try and make a statement. But who was it that Figueiredo fought before this? He fought him twice. Benavidez, was it?
Yeah, because he missed weight the first time. Yeah.
Perez.
Was that the fight he missed weight for, I believe?
I can't remember, but I was definitely on like the Benavidez hype train before that. I'd like to start, like the way he used to fight. And he used to come with a lot of aggression as well, so I quite liked him. And I Figueiredo's walked through him twice, and I thought, right, I'm definitely on this hype train now. So I was definitely a hype train fan before this, and I'm on his now. And I think he'll go on. I think he'll have a tough match against Moreno, but if he can come out and put his aggression there straight away, maybe try and pressure him and get one of those crazy first round finishes or second round finishes he's known for. Moving on to bigger things then.
Yeah, I feel like the Adesanya title fight, I feel like that is one I do see going quite similar to the first fight with Marvin Vettori.
That's going to be an interesting one for me, because Adesanya against Ricky Martin, he didn't look too bad. I'm not going to lie. His game plan was perfect, but because obviously when he first fought Vettori, close fight, I think maybe. I think it's a split decision anyway. But no, I've got a feeling Adesanya gets it done inside the distance this time round.
Yeah. What do you think, Richard?
I think probably Adesanya on points, and probably all day long on points, because I think he can finish it inside the rounds, but I think you remember Vittori's quite a tough opponent. He's not going to sort of tap out to anything, or if he's getting ground and pound, I think he'll just take it because he's quite a tough guy. So maybe leg kicks might suffer a little bit in there, but what you've got is Adesanya, the sort of kickboxer, as his main sort of style or main background, right? And this Vittori guy is like from a Muay Thai gym, and he's really good at the striking game as well, just ever slightly differently. So it's going to be sort of a kickboxing versus Muay Thai, but I think from when they last fought back in like 2018 or whenever it was, I think it was 2018, Adesanya's has had absolute killers in front of him the whole time, and he's made them look amateur. Albeit he moved up weight in his last fight and lost against Jan Blachowicz, but I think most people expected that. Whereas Vittori hasn't had the same sort of level of opponent, I think. So even though there was a points win last time and it was quite close, I think Adesanya has just leveled up several times since then, and I think he's going to show the levels on the day.
Yeah,
probably toy them and win it after 5 rounds.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's similar to like Paulo Costa. Vittori talks a lot about putting like a lot of pressure on Adesanya and like not showing him any respect. And I feel like that was sort of all the same stuff that Costa was saying before their fight. And I mean, we saw how that one went.
Yeah, we saw that cookie crumbled. Good performance.
It's a lot of these, Mason, a lot of these sort of opponents he's been up against, the bigger guys, looking at 2 pictures of them, you go, right, this guy with all the muscles is going to absolutely kill this like skinny guy with a skinny power. But if you notice, they all stand off him and they think, I don't really want to get involved in some of that striking. He's obviously got power and he's obviously got good counters. And it's strange to see the bigger guys stand off. I don't think Vittori's going to do that. I think he'll go to him, but still see the same result. Yeah, by the way, if anyone's taking any of these tips as like betting tips, there's no refunds.
But if you do win, 20% coming towards us.
I've been friends with you for a while now, mate. So if you do win big, just remember me, Mason, part of British MMA scene, Joe Cotton MMA.
Exactly. Yeah. For me, but like obviously 2 big title fights, like we were saying. But for me, like the fight I'm looking forward to the most is like Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz, because he's just got the star in that is Nate Diaz, as well as obviously rooting for Leon Edwards. Being from the same country, we've got to support Leon. That's the one I'm most looking forward to. What do you reckon?
So Nate Diaz is, as Dana said, now a needle mover. So he's obviously going to bring in the crowd, which is good to see. So I think everybody's excited to see that. But if Nate fights the same fight as he did against Masvidal, I think he's in trouble, mate. I think because Nate Diaz, he bleeds every time he brushes his teeth. He said it himself, if you sneeze on me, I'll bleed. And Leon's elbows are nasty. I did a post on it not so long ago. And I don't want it to be one of those fights where Leon catches him, a massive cut occurs, then the ref stops it, and then Nate says he wants a rematch and stuff, because Leon's surely got to be a fight or 2 away from a title shot now, because he's an unlucky guy. Like the fight against Bilal Muhammad, the accidental eye poke, nearly pulled his eyeball out of his head. So
I feel so bad for Leon. Like the amount of things he's had to go wrong. Like obviously he was set to fight Tyron Woodley, weren't he, in the London card before? Yeah. Obviously, COVID, that got cancelled. Was he set to fight Chimaev, I believe, after that? Last December. Yeah, 3 times. Obviously that got cancelled. So I don't know. Obviously, Bilal Muhammad went to a no contest, I believe, because of the eye poke.
Second round, yeah.
Like actually, every day this week, I've been waking up like, has it been cancelled? Like I say.
I'm not going to believe that fight's happening until they're both locked in the cage together and Bruce Buffer's announcing their names. Until that happens, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But,
I feel bad.
I'm excited for that too. It's going to be a good fight. It'd be interesting to see how it goes past like the kind of 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds, because obviously we've got loads of mythical fighters. We've got Sober Costa, undefeated O'Malley, and we've got late round Diaz. So it'd be interesting to see how Leon does in those later rounds. But I think if Leon sticks to the game plan, which I can imagine he's been working at, I think he'll do well. Nate's tough. He's got a heavyweight chin, which is pretty scary. But I think
he doesn't get beaten; he just runs out of time.
Literally, it runs out of time. But I think Leon will probably take him the distance and win. But it'd be nice to see Nate make some technical adjustments and kind of give Leon some more things to worry about, because we know he's got some slick jiu-jitsu. We know that his wrestling's starting to look a lot better. We saw that against Anthony Pettis like a year and a half ago. I know it's quite a long time ago, but he's been working with like D1 All-Americans and stuff. So they're both well prepared. Leon's got good wrestling coaches, so they're both going to be comfortable either way. I think we can all agree that we're all excited for it, because it's Leon. But he's unlucky, and he's not a very marketable fighter. Like, for some reason, like there's always like this vendetta against like a few British people. Like for Bisping until it's been different, but Leon kind of stays away from the shit talk, and I think that kind of doesn't work in his favour as much. Whereas you got Nate like accusing everybody of being on steroids, and he draws a huge crowd, doesn't he? So it's kind of they're both helping each other. Leon's got the ranking, Diaz has got the big money draw, I suppose. So they're getting paid. They're getting to punch someone in the head and fight half naked to the applause of a drunken audience. So it's going to be a good one.
Who do you think is going to come out on top, Richard?
But I think what Mason has said there around like the Nate is the draw. I think he's absolutely right. I think Leon for me is like the most underappreciated fighter in the sort of top rankings of UFC. I love him because he's obviously a British fighter. I spent a lot of time in Birmingham myself, so any Birmingham fighter that shows up on any of these fight shows, obviously going to rep them. So I really wanted to win, but you'd almost think that the UFC have almost set this up as, well, your numbers are okay. Yeah, you probably need a title fight and you're entitled to one, but we need one more big sort of draw to get the big numbers for the big show. Otherwise, it doesn't make business sense for us, because it is business now, isn't it? It's all about who brings in the most pay-per-views and who's going to get the most eyes on the screen, right? So I think that's what this fight is for. Now, how do I see it going? Well, Leon's had lots of decision wins on his record. Looking back, sort of last 10 fights or so, we know Nate can go the distance as well. Probably enjoys to go the distance. I think he's like, yeah, I'll stay in there for 5 rounds. Keep punching me. He loves it, and he's obviously got the engine for it as well, as he showed against like McGregor before, 4 or 5 years ago now. Nate's had loads of submission wins as well, but we know that Leon's got great wrestling and BJJ. So he does dot around a couple of gyms. I've seen him fight in and train in like Renegade, which is quite famous obviously in the UK. He's been at Core Fit as well for his striking. So he's mixing it with like top talent. And a lot of these guys that he's fighting with are, on Bellator or UFC or on their way there. So he's got a real good stable around him. I think he's just, every time we see him in fight, he just looks even better and better and better. And I think, unless there's another cut from Nate, like Mason said, some of these elbows in the feet, we haven't actually
yet. I do think Leon's going to come out on top. I do. He is one of the most if not, I do believe he's the most well-rounded fighter, I think, coming out of England at the minute. Obviously, Darren Till's doing amazing, but as in terms of being like the most well-rounded, I think that does go to Leon. He does look phenomenal on the floor and striking. What I thought was interesting was it was obviously Nate that I think it was Nate anyway that requested it go 5 rounds. So and obviously we've not seen that from Leon before going them extra championship rounds. So it'll be interesting to see how his gas tank carries over into them later rounds, whether he can carry on and keep up with Nate.
Yeah, it's never been done before. Point. Sorry, carry on, Rich.
Mason, mate. What would you say, mate?
Yeah, it's never been done before. A 5-round non-title fight that isn't a main event. So that's history in the making already. So it's nice to see that starting touching my waves now, which is good.
This is going to take some editing from you, Joe. I've got a slightly controversial point then. So if
Yeah, Joe,
Leon,
you're editing the feed.
It'll only be like a minute long at
Leon,
the end, all the editing.
easily, you could probably just put it like 10 minutes as outtakes at the end of us interrupting each other. But if Leon, which I think he will, if he beats Nate at the weekend, does Nate become the new cowboy? Who is the person that's almost a gatekeeper for some of the people that need to make a name for themselves? And it's probably fair to say Cowboy's last couple of fights that haven't been really competitive. He's took beatings in the majority of them. And it seems to be
it's funny that you say that because
taking paydays.
It's funny that you say that because I think Nate, if he beats Leon, goes straight onto the title fight with Kamaru Usman. I think that's what he's sort of being set. I think they're using this as a title eliminator because I feel like Kamaru's sort of out of an opponent at the minute.
Yeah, but I don't think Nate would even get near him. I don't think he comes close. I think Kamaru is just a different animal, and I don't think he's ready for that. Especially the form he's on as well.
I've got an absolute golden plan B for Dana White, and Dana would love this if this happened. So, Conor McGregor, whether he wins or loses, if Nate Diaz was to possibly beat Leon Edwards, and whether it be Nate gets the title shot or maybe fights another fight, I have a feeling, and I'm calling it, that if Nate was to beat Leon, Dana would try and set up McGregor and Diaz trilogy, because that would throw McGregor straight towards a title shot again. And McGregor and title shot, that honestly, that gets Dana very turned on, doesn't it? We can agree on that one, boys.
Red panty night, baby.
Many red panties, loads of red panties.
Yeah.
But possibly that's all I'm saying. So if Nate wins, it's not just a W for him. It's a big dub. So as Dana would say, we will see what happens.
Yeah. Obviously, a lot of other Brits fighting on the card as well. I think it says a lot to say like how stacked the card is. That like Joanna Calderwood is fighting on the prelims. Who else are you lads looking forward to seeing further down the card?
Darren Stewart, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that fight getting ran back with Eryxgear. I put a post on yesterday, and he was on about fighting at light heavyweight from now on, because I think it's probably the fact that he believes he's going to be fast to that weight division. He's obviously been quite up and down with his record since joining the UFC. So if he completes the saga with Eryxgear, then we'll be able to see how he gets on in the light heavyweight division. So hopefully he brings it home, because he's a really down-to-earth guy. His TikToks are unbelievably funny as well. So I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. I thought it was odd because it's this fight which is moving up to light heavyweight, isn't it? This rematch with Eryxgear, which I thought was odd because their first fight, which obviously ended in a no contest because of the illegal knee. But Eryxgear looked much bigger than Darren Stewart in that first fight, I thought. So I thought it was sort of a bit of an odd decision to choose to move up to a larger weight class. I obviously thought it'd benefit Anders a lot more than himself.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think this will be his good first test anyway at light heavyweight, because like you said, Anders looks a lot bigger. So I think this will kind of put his theory to the test. If he can, if he looks faster against the bigger guy, then I suppose that'll give him the kind of starters you mean to go on attitude. So now it'd be interesting to see him at 205, because I think he's fought the who's who of middleweight. I mean, he even fought Kevin Holland as well, which could have went either way. I think a lot of people had that going for Darren. So no, I think he'd be fast for I think he'd be fast for light heavyweight. So we'll see how he gets on against Anders, and yeah, I'm excited for that, and Joe Calderwood as well. So like you said, there's stacked card, and there's quite a few British fighters on there. So it's a good one for British MMA fans, potentially.
Absolutely.
I just wish it was on a bit earlier.
What's that?
I just wish the card was on a bit earlier. Just bang it on about 8 or 9 p.m. start. That'd be nice.
Wish a lot of them more earlier.
But I'm working on Sunday morning, so by the time I've woke up, I'll probably be up just in time for like the main event or something, or maybe I'll just stay up. I don't know. But all I know is that if the results go our way, then it's some good content for my page. So I'm looking forward to it. Putting shit on, guys and girls.
So
we've got another Brit as well.
Sorry, go on, Richard.
I was just going to say we've got another Brit as well. I'll say Brit. The Scottish people would say the Scottish fighter fighting, but obviously if it's not English. We'll claim them as well as British. So Paul Craig's fighting in light heavyweight again. We've got this Jamal. Oh, my phone's ringing. Jamal Hill. So he's had a bit of I don't know. I think he's been thrown into the deep end of the UFC. He's only had 2 fights in the UFC. Sort of 8-0, 1 no contest. But I think 6 have been on other sort of shows and promotions. And he's kind of been thrown in now to say, right.
He came through the Dana White Contender Series, I believe, didn't he? Jamal Hill.
Yeah. And he's got a decent record. He's obviously UFC fans, like the hardcore ones, will know of him. But if anyone's watching these cards for the first time, they've got to go, who is this guy? He's 8-0. He's fighting Paul Craig, who's the Scottish guy. And he's a bit of a hype train. So if he can go through Paul Craig and win, his profile is going to be huge. But I'm probably still going to back Paul Craig to give him a tough night.
On the flip side,
probably win one.
On the flip side, if Paul Craig gets through Jamal Hill, because I believe Hill is already ranked as well in the light heavyweight division, so that would it'd be a good one for his resume. It'd be like they're both going to be good for each other's resume, so they're both important to each other's career. It's going to be a good milestone for them to beat somebody close to them in the rankings. For Paul Craig, he's going to get taken seriously as he moves towards the top 10, and same for Hill as well. And the hype trying to keep going if he gets through Craig as well, because he's not to mess around with. I mean, I know obviously Shogun's like a lot older now, but he left no doubts in the second fight with Shogun for sure. So 2 good fighters, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love watching light heavyweights fight, in all fairness, because you're starting to see they're a lot faster now. Like when you have back in the day, you had people like Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, probably when I was about 4. But now you've got like Jan Blachowicz and even Adesanya going up to light heavyweight. So like the level now has improved drastically. So it's going to be interesting. Light heavyweights, it is a good division.
Come out again, but yeah, I feel like the top of the light heavyweight division as well is full of strikers at the minute.
Number 1 to 9.
Yeah, I feel like the light heavyweight division, like the very top of it, is full of strikers at the minute with you say Blachowicz, Reyes, Prochaska. I pronounced that wrong, and yeah, it's full of strikers at the minute. So like to see Paul Craig rise and compete with those guys with his grappling, I feel like that'd be a lot of fun to see, because his grappling is phenomenal.
Yeah, and he's got loads of submission wins as well, obviously. So I'm probably backing him for a submission win on the weekend against the hype train.
Yeah.
Very good card though, for sure. I think due to how many British fighters that are on it, I'm definitely going to have to stay up and watch that one. So hopefully they'll make it worth my while. So I'm looking forward to seeing them fight, because we've got to support our locals, because like whereabouts are you based, Joe?
I'm from North Yorkshire, mate.
Oh, right, okay. So like for me and Rich, we're fairly close to Birmingham. So Leon's literally down the road for us too. So it's quite nice to see fighters staying in the UK and actually getting towards a title, because a myth now is like you have to kind of expand and go to places like America to actually become something. Like Bisping ended up going to America, whereas Leon he stayed in Birmingham, and he's getting the work in at Fearless, he's getting the work in at Renegade, and as Rich said, at Corfit as well. He's got a nice little clique around him of Bellator fighters, UFC fighters, working with the likes of even like the smaller guys that he spars with. So people in like the featherweight division and the lightweight division, like these guys are huge. Like I saw a photo of Tom Breeze next to Aiden Lee. So if any of you guys don't know Aiden Lee, he's a Bellator featherweight, and Tom Breeze, as we know, is a middleweight. You'd have a hard time guessing who the middleweight is. Like these guys are massive. It's like Aiden's probably he fights 12 kilos lighter than what I walk around at. or maybe like 13 kilos lighter than what I walk around at. But he's jacked, man. Nate Diaz would be on his case straight away.
Talking about
you know what, Mason? That's not
Tom
even,
Breeze.
that's not even a recent thing.
You what, mate? Sorry?
I was going to say to Mason there, that's not even a recent thing. It's not like he's just got a nutritionist or just found a new way of dieting or weight cutting. He's always been that ripped for like the last 5 or 6 years. He's just a freak of nature. Isn't he fighting soon? Actually, is it this week? On Bellator?
Yeah, fighting Aaron Pico.
Yeah,
he's fighting Aaron Pico Graham. So two good fighters, man. Aaron Pico's a great wrestler, and he can strike as well. Bellator put a post out of his one knockout. It was like a counter left hook, and the guy just slumped. But stylistically, that's exciting. Pico's got that kind of like wrestler's frame. Aiden Lee, he's more of like he's a long and rangy kickboxer. I think we saw his last knockout against Hardwick, and I think he went for a kick and ended up catching him with the knee. But it was messy, but it was pretty at the same time. So they're both going to be cautious, but if they both need to throw down, they will throw down, and that will get them a step closer to the Bellator title as well, because Pico's, well, we know that he trains at Jackson Wing, so he's around good fighters himself. Aiden's around the likes of Leon as well, who he was on about. So it's got potential for a fight of the night at Bellator. So it could put Aiden's name on it.
Mate. Yeah, hope so.
Yeah. You mentioned Tom Breeze earlier. I was heartbroken to see he couldn't make the walk last weekend. Like, obviously, they didn't make a statement about, he said medical issues. He couldn't make a statement to think about what it was, but obviously, very, very sad to see. I was looking forward to that one after his previous loss.
I'm not too sure about the ins and outs of that, but with a bit of luck, if anybody does get on with him and stumbles across the video, then I'll speak on our behalf that we're wishing him a speedy recovery with whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I can imagine it's quite heartbreaking, because obviously I've been around quite a few amateur fighters, and even when they have to pull out the fights, it's quite like, it sucks for them. So I can imagine literally or die for them, because no one's career is really that safe in the UFC. Like, there's a lot going on, and now we've got YouTubers fighting, so it's like it's a tough one, to be fair. So hopefully Tom recovers better than ever and can get back in the win column with a bit of luck, bring one back to England.
Yeah, absolutely. So like British MMA is doing obviously so well at the minute. I feel like, obviously, like we were saying earlier, more fighters are staying in the UK to train, and just obviously English fighters in each weight category and things like that. I feel like Joanna Coldwood, she's gone to America to train, but I believe that's more of the situation for like female fighters in the UK, if you know what I mean, struggling to get the training partners.
Get training and matchups. Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit. I think there's a lot more. It's a lot more developed over there for like the women's side, and then there's just thousands more training partners and sparring partners. So yeah, I can understand what she's made that this would be. A lot of the amateur guys I've spoken to do exactly the same thing, especially the females.
Corey McKenna is an example of that. She's over at Team Alpha Male. Yeah, so and obviously Team Alpha Male is notorious for kind of training and below. So I can imagine she's got a lot of training partners, and she seems to be doing well too. So it'd be nice to see her back in there. I remember on Cage Warriors with her performances. So she's off to a good start, but I'm looking forward in the future to seeing a few of like the high level amateurs that we've got on the UK MMA scene. We've got Melissa Mullins. She's turning pro soon. All the promising. So with a bit of luck, they get the call off Sean Shelby and Dana, and we'll see quite a few more fighters from Britain.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Lexi just about to know the fight, actually. Hasn't she? She's in Golden Ticket in a couple of weeks, and I think she's on Almighty as well in September.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. I think she's on the same card as Marlon, actually, because Marlon's got two. Yeah. He's claimed that he's got 2 more fights at amateur, and then he's going pro. And I think after these 2 fights at amateur, albeit if he wins both of them, then he could finish number 1 in amateur rankings, which will kind of put him up there with the likes of with Makayev, people like Louis Lightning as well. because he turned pro not long ago. So, but even like the people that he trains with, Liam McCracken, for example, and he's got Dean Garnett there as well, like coaching them, and he's a brilliant fighter himself. So we've got a pool full of talent. So I'm looking forward to see how far those guys go as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing Liam McCracken's fight with George Staines as well coming up. They are definitely two of the best amateurs in the country. Like,
yes,
that
man,
has to be the fight of that whole card as well. No disrespect to anyone else on it, or even like the main event. That is the one I'm so excited for, because they've got you just had two of the best amateurs in the UK. They've got such an exciting reputation and like buzz about them as well. Both exciting fight. I can't wait for that one. It's going to be the best of the night.
Yeah,
so we've gone from talking about the UFC card to a couple of amateurs in the country.
I suppose it's good publicity for the younger guys though, who are up and coming. But do you guys want to go back onto the UFC card, or are we gonna carry on with British MMA? Completely up to you guys.
Completely derail this whole idea.
I'm chill, mate.
What do you actually title this as now? Because we've gone from talking about Leon Edwards and Adesanya to talking about Lexi Rook and Marlon Jones from down the road. So I suppose it goes to show just how close these guys are, though, in all fairness, because soon these guys could be in the same bracket if they keep getting the right training and doing what they need to do. But Lexi just isn't having a problem.
Imagine 12 months from now, 18 months from now, all the names we've just mentioned, we could be doing another UFC preview talking about the same names. They could be there. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I never thought about that. Food for
and they might
thought.
still talk to us because we promote them when they're amateurs.
Literally, man, food for thought.
Like, was it Jack Shaw absolutely flew through Cage Warriors, didn't he?
Yeah.
Come champion only a couple of years, I think it was. Obviously, now look how he's doing. UFC.
He's doing good, man. He's doing very good. He's still undefeated as well.
Yeah.
Which is so it's good to see him maintaining his record. Wales have got quite a bright future. It's a shame about Mason Jones, by the way, the other week with the no contest. I don't know if you guys saw that, because he was dominating.
Yeah.
It was the same as Leon against Bilal Muhammad, and they were both unlucky. Mason Jones was dominating the fight, and it just seemed that Patrick would obviously. I mean, to be fair, so would I. If I had the choice to either take a loss or a no contest, I'm taking the no contest. I'm not going to lie.
It is sad to see, because I feel like Mason has the potential to be a top fighter, and he's just had a bit of a rough start to the UFC. His first fight with Matt Davis was obviously great, absolute war, great fight for them. But obviously went wrong way in a split decision. But I think he's had a bit of a rough start, and hoping after this he finally takes off. Yeah,
for sure, man. He's just a bump in the road at the moment. He's hopefully his worst days are behind him, because you can't get more unlucky than that. You've had a razor close split decision, which could have went either way. I had it Mason Jones personally, but it depends who you ask, I guess. And then there was the no contest in his last fight, but with a bit of luck, he actually gets off to a decent start when he next fights. Sure, I mean, I'm hoping that he's on a quick turn time soon. But anyway.
Yeah, he did a bit of a stint. Mason Jones did a bit of a stint out with Alpha Male, didn't he? Out in the States before that one as well.
Yeah, I had a chat with Mason Jones before his fight with when he was going for the welterweight title, and he said that he was planning to go to Team Alpha Male. So he seems to be pretty switched on. He's got, if you know where you want to be, it's just important that you know what you know and that you know what you don't know. So it's important that he's got himself to that kind of point, because he's a relatively young guy and he's got a bright future. So it's nice to see, because obviously all the British fighters we've named, literally everyone that I've said that they have a bright future, because they're all young, they've all got potential to go to the top. So it's great for people like me to see, because it actually helps me get out of bed in the morning and think, you know what, fuck it, go for that run, eat something healthy, leave the crisps.
Yeah, Talk about obviously.
Or I could murder a packet of crisps now.
Yeah, nah, fuck it. I'll go and get some after.
And that's the part I'll edit out after you're motivational. Obviously, talk about Welshman. We've got Brendan Loughran fighting on PFL this weekend as well.
He's an exciting fighter as well. I don't watch much of PFL. I see it flying around social media. I know Mason posts quite a lot about it as well. A few of the podcasts are talking about it. And our mate Mike Owens Media is often on the press conferences interviewing, so I do see clips of it. And he just seems so self-assured, and he almost talks as if he's already won the whole competition. And he's got a real good confidence about him, which I like, as well as his fighting ability. So I'd love to see him just walk before everybody, win the money, and then move on to, no disrespect, a bigger platform like UFC or someone like Bellator, and make a real name, because he's such an exciting fighter. And I only found out about him through this PFL. I didn't know about him before.
No, neither did I, to be honest.
Yeah, PFL for me, it's PFL slowly starting to kind of come onto like many people's radars now. I've started seeing it a lot more through Mike Owens. Shout out Mike Owens Media. He's been speaking to quite a few PFL fighters. He got press credentials for them, and they're starting to get some big names on there. Like Anthony Pettis has fought on there, Fabricio Verdum. But Brendan's very confident. He's really confident. He's an exciting fighter to watch. So I think he'd probably be the first fighter to fight in Bellator, PFL, and the UFC. So we'd have another British fighter making history then. But I'm probably thinking years ahead of my time. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Seeing about like the rise of like PFL, obviously Clarissa Shields as well, female boxing star, making her MMA debut as well. Obviously, like bringing more like stars to it as well. So, bring a bit more viewers to it as well.
Yeah, she doesn't have that much to prove like anymore in boxing. Like she's like to many people, she's considered the greatest female fighter on the planet at the moment in boxing. And I don't know if you guys saw, but she's been getting some training with Holly Holm as well. So that's going to help her transition from boxing to kickboxing as well, because Holly Holm's a great kickboxer. She showed that against Rousey. She showed that against Betch Correia. And she's shown it for her whole career, in all fairness. Obviously, when she fought Amanda Nunes, she was a little bit outclassed on the feet, but Amanda Nunes is a different level. And she, in all fairness, I mean, what does she fight at more now? Is it featherweight she fights at a little bit more? But even at featherweight, I think she could hold her on against some of the dudes at featherweight as well, to be fair.
Yeah. I think it's interesting at a time as well when obviously at a time when a lot of older UFC fighters are moving into boxing near the end of their career, that there's a boxer moving over to MMA. Yeah,
it's something fresh anyway, because obviously I don't want to bring him up, but Jake Paul, here we go. Jake Paul, I've said his name twice now. I'm going to try and not say it again.
I don't say that name around there.
You say it 3 times, he appears in the room, mate. So
I'll tell you what, if I say it again...
He takes your hat and runs away.
If I say it again, I'll end the call and I'll take down my page. So I'm not going to say his name again now. But he is... he must not be named. Logan's little brother is calling out a lot of like old MMA fighters. He's calling out the likes of call out Ben Askren. And Ben Askren's a brilliant wrestler, but he can't shoot a double leg in boxing, sadly. And we saw that cookie crumbled. And then he tried calling out Daniel Cormier, which, in all fairness, I gave him props for, because that's the first guy above his weight he's actually tried calling out. So, well done, Logan's brother. All good.
Yeah. I actually had Ben going into that fight with He Must Not Be Named. And because I was like, I don't know why. But afterwards I was like, oh, yeah. Ben's striking has always looked like he's trying to find a switch in a dark room. Why did I ever think he was going to win? Maybe I was listening to Chael too much going into it, but yeah. I think I was maybe just listening to Chael too much, but afterwards I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was heartbroken, man. A piece of me died. I saw like the photo of like Ben on the floor and him standing up, like doing that stupid like arm gesture, and then he was it's horrible to see. But even Logan and Mayweather, like, that's terrible for the sport as well. So hopefully, as Rich said, it translates a few fans over to like the real side of things, because big issue that even he mentioned was fighter pay, and I did a little post kind of like suggesting what maybe could be done to start with. So hopefully, like the next generation of fighters in the UFC and Bellator. Well, the problem's more in the UFC. Corey Anderson spoke about it, saying in 2 fights in Bellator, he made more than he ever did in UFC. And Corey Anderson's not exactly a name, no disrespect, but if he was the main event of a Bellator card, I wouldn't wake up and think, do you know what? I'm going to wake up a little bit earlier to watch Corey Anderson fight. And he's making like a bit of money over at Bellator, so we need to see something different in the UFC, because people are getting paid like 10K to show in their first fight in the UFC. So hopefully something gets done.
Yeah, I think it shows a little bit as well the fact, like, obviously, I don't think some fans say that Bellator doesn't get as many viewers as UFC, and the fact, like, obviously Bellator fighters can, getting paid more. It does, it sort of shows there is something going wrong somewhere. You know what I mean?
The problem
The
is
thing as well. I think I was just going to say that not necessarily on the pay, but I was on about the YouTube stars before. They're kind of stars and they've got a big audience because they make all these videos and they put themselves out there. Whereas you look at some of the UFC fighter profiles and they might not have posted a picture for like 6 months, and they're not trying to grow their own audience themselves. So some of it is down to UFC, some of it is down to like the UFC embedded series, or how much footage was shown of the fighters in the week and that kind of thing. But there needs to be a bit more onus on the fighters to go, do you know what? If I put out some more, content onto YouTube, if I put some more pictures onto Instagram, more people will follow me, and I'll get a bigger payday because I've got all these eyes that will come watch my fight. Because some of them are completely half asleep at the wheel, like with their social media accounts.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those. Because how many fighters are on the UFC roster? And then, because I don't even know the number off the top of my head. Like, I'm going to be straight up.
No.
And
Neither.
what's like the percentage of those fighters that we know are on the roster? Like, I think we can probably name about 30 or 40%. Like, if we go through like the roster now, we're going to see fighters on like the on like the app, like the UFC app, literally without a fighter profile, like without a face. And we don't even know they existed. And like, you probably look them up on Instagram, and it's like, my mate 5 minutes away has probably got more followers than him, and this guy's literally like a pro fighter in the UFC. So like, it's absolutely it's crazy, because the problem for me was first identified UFC 249, Gaethje versus Ferguson, and when the numbers came back, I think there was like 10 fights on the card. It generated about like 60 million or something. And fighters, like the whole card, only got 12% of the revenue. And there was a title fight on that card. Well, no, there was 2 title fights on that card. There was Cejudo and Cruz, and there was Gaethje and Ferguson for the interim lightweight. And they got between them 12% of the revenue. So, to my recollection, that's not a lot of money.
No. Yeah. Obviously, the main event often does, as it on the pay-per-view, takes a slice of that as well. But
pay-per-view points
doesn't really sit right, does it?
No, not at all, man. But something's got to be done, and hopefully, like the more noise is made about it, but more importantly, the right people need to speak about it, because Paulo Costa was speaking about it, saying that he wants to get paid more. And obviously, straight away, you already know that Dana's going to come out of nowhere and be like, yeah, you just got knocked out. Like, who are you to talk, kind of thing.
He already has done that.
And he did. Yeah, that's what I mean. He already has done that. And I expected nothing less. Like, once I saw Costa started talking about it, I was like, well, I'm tempted to time and maybe put a bet on when Dana actually tells him to shut up and start fighting again. And he did. And obviously, to an extent, Dana has the right to say that. But whereas if it was somebody like it sounds daft, but even someone like Conor, who has made ridiculous amounts of money and has proven that it can be done, even if he was to say that fighters who aren't in as much as me maybe should get paid a little bit more, or maybe one of the champions like Adesanya or Usman, because when John Jones tweeted about it, I think he probably tweeted about like 26.3 times about it, and he doesn't really get the message across, because straight away probably in the comments of his tweets, it's like, yeah, but you hit and ran a pregnant lady. Shut up, John. No one cares. And he kind of just goes on. But if somebody with like a fairly decent following was to talk about it, then hopefully something could get done.
Yeah, it doesn't help that John's obviously not one of the most liked people in the UFC.
Oh, but he's Daniel Cormier's best friend though.
Maybe Dana White's just not seen John's tweets if he's deleting them all straight afterwards.
He's probably blocked. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been on a fair few tangents about going from the UFC card, but yeah, obviously great card on this weekend. UFC, obviously loads of Brits fighting, Bellator as well. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Like,
me too, man, for sure. It's going to be worth a watch. So if anybody who watches this, make sure you waste some of your valuable time and watch that pay-per-view as well, because you won't regret it. It'll be time well spent. Support your local fighters, and let's see them bring some wins back to the UK. More importantly,
absolutely, and a belt or two soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Yeah. Cheers, cheers, fellas. Cheers for coming on. Just gonna.
Nice one, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Joe Cotton for having me and Rich on. And if you do get to see this, make sure you give him a follow and subscribe to his YouTube channel.
You can also give us a bit of grief in the comments if you don't agree with our predictions. And if we get it all wrong, if we come in next week and we've got every single prediction wrong, you're welcome to give us a bit of grief. And yeah, Joe, thanks for having us, mate. And if you want to do any of this again, you're well for it.
Cheers, mate. You too, fellas. Appreciate you coming on.